Dramatic crash at Winter Olympics. Liu Jiayu avoids serious injury after dramatic crash in women's halfpipe qualifying at 2026 Winter Olympics. Chinese snowboarding star Liu Jiayu has reassured fans that she is safe and receiving after a frightening crash during the women's halfpipe qualification round at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Italy. Now it's time to dig deeper and understand the full story through this AI podcast.
Okay, imagine this. You're standing at the bottom of this massive carved-out trench of ice. It's freezing, but you barely feel it. The energy around you is it's absolutely nuclear. You're surrounded by thousands of people. Flags are waving, cowbells are ringing. There's that electric hum of a massive crowd at the Winter Olympics. It's February, Italy, 2026.
The world is watching.
The world is watching. And then, in a split second, the volume knob it drops to zero.
It's the silence. That is the sound that every single winter sports fan, fears. It's that silence that falls when an elite athlete goes into the air and gravity just decides it's not going to cooperate.
Exactly. The cheering dies, the music cuts, and you're left with this heavy, suffocating quiet because someone is down in the snow and they aren't moving. That silence is where we're starting today. We're looking at the razor-thin line between becoming a historic legend and suffering a career-ending injury.
And we are right in the thick of it. The games are underway, and this week specifically has given us, a masterclass in the physical toll of Olympic snowboarding. It's been a week of extreme highs and some terrifying lows.
It really has. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're unpacking a stack of reports centered around one titled Resilience and Risk in the Olympic Halfpipe. It covers the events of this week, the week of February 11th, 2026.
And look, usually when we talk Olympics, it's all medal counts, anthems, podium sweeps.
Right. But today, our mission is different. We're looking at the bruises, the fractures, and the terrifying moments that happen before anyone even gets a medal around their neck.
We're going to break down 3 specific narratives from this week that illustrate that risk perfectly. We have the terrifying crash of Chinese veteran Liu Jiayu.
Then the devastating exit of Australian Cameron Bolton.
And then on the other side, the defiance of gravity and maybe medical logic by Chloe Kim.
So we've got medical updates that are a huge relief. Spoiler alert there. We've got to look at what muscle memory actually means when your shoulder's barely hanging on, and a breakdown of the women's halfpipe standings. But first, let's set the scene with Liu Jiayu.
Let's do it.
Okay, take us back to Wednesday. Women's halfpipe qualification. The atmosphere is tense, conditions are fast. You have Liu Jiayu dropping in. And for context, for anyone who, hasn't followed her career that closely, she isn't just some participant.
No, not at all. She's an institution in this sport.
Absolutely. 33 years old. This is her 5th Olympics.
5th. I mean, she took the silver back in Pyeongchang in 2018. When you talk about experience in the halfpipe, she has more of it than almost anyone else in that field. She knows the transition. She knows the speed.
Which makes what happened even more shocking.
Yeah.
The report describes it as a dramatic crash. She's mid-run, launching a trick, and then, chaos.
It's a reminder of the raw physics involved here. You have to understand, a halfpipe isn't just a slope. It's a 22-foot vertical wall of ice. You generate massive speed to launch out of the top.
Okay.
And when she went for that trick, she lost control in the air. And in the halfpipe, if you get your rotation wrong or you drift too far inside...
Onto that flat part at the bottom.
Exactly. The deck. You aren't sliding down a slope. You are you're free falling onto flat, packed ice from 2 stories up.
And the way the report describes it, it's visceral. It says she somersaulted hard into the snow. That just creates a terrifying image.
Right. And it wasn't one of those controlled slides where they kind of dissipate the energy. She slammed down, took the impact, and then just slid helplessly down the bottom of the pipe until friction stopped her.
Yeah.
It's the kind of fall where all that kinetic energy has nowhere to go but into the body.
And that's when the silence we talked about really hit. She didn't get up. She just lay there, motionless.
That is the moment. That's when time just stops. The medical personnel rushed in immediately. The source material notes she was treated on the snow for extended moments.
And that usually means one thing, right?
Yeah, in trauma care on a mountain, that kind of delay usually means they are stabilizing the C-spine. They are not taking any chances with the neck or the back. They're immobilizing her before they even think about moving her.
Seeing her towed away on that stretcher, I remember checking the feeds. It felt like the entire snowboarding world was holding its breath.
Yeah.
You had fans online just refreshing every 10 seconds, terrified that we just watched a career end.
It is the nightmare scenario. You see a veteran like that go down and you think, is this it? This is the last time we see her. But, and this is why we do the deep dive, we have to follow the story past the headline because Thursday brought an update.
Yes, and what a relief it was. China's state news agency, Xinhua, released the medical details. They took her to the hospital. They ran the full suite of scans, MRI, CT, everything, and the verdict.
No spinal abnormalities.
Which, honestly, looking at the replay of that fall, it just feels miraculous.
Oh, completely. To take that kind of vertical impact and walk away without a spinal fracture or a disc herniation is incredible luck, combined with an incredibly tough body.
Liu even posted on social media to reassure everyone. She put up a selfie, in her hospital gown, flashing the V sign.
The universal sign for victory, or in this case, I survived.
She wrote, "I just finished the checkup at the hospital, and there's nothing seriously wrong. Everything is fine."
And you could just feel the collective exhale online. The report mentions a fan comment that really stuck with me. Someone said they had been checking online all day. It just shows you how invested people are.
Yeah, but I want to pause on that phrase she used, everything is fine. Because when you dig into the context provided in this report, fine seems like a very, very relative term for Liu Jiayu.
Oh, completely. This is where we have to separate not paralyzed from healthy. They are very different things in elite sports.
The report mentions she's known for her fighting spirit. China Sports Daily said she has always gritted her teeth and fought to the very end. That's a heroic way to frame it, but gritting your teeth usually means you're just suppressing pain.
And she is. The medical history here is staggering, and it really exposes the cost of longevity in this sport. The report notes that she is competing right now while dealing with the effects of an old lumbar fracture that hasn't fully healed.
Wait, can we just process that? An unhealed fracture in her back, the lumbar region, and she is throwing herself 20 feet in the air.
It defies logic for most of us. Think about what the lumbar spine does. It's the pivot point for your entire body. It absorbs the shock when you land. It stabilizes your core when you spin.
So every landing.
Every single landing sends a shock wave through an injury that is already screaming.
And that's not even all of it, is it?
No, that's just her back. She's also undergone 3 major shoulder surgeries in the past. Shoulders are crucial for balance, for grabbing the board, which is how you score points. So when we saw her crash on Wednesday, we were looking at a body that had already taken a massive amount of punishment.
It raises a difficult question about the culture of the sport. I mean, why keep pushing at 33 with a broken back and reconstructed shoulders?
I don't think it's just stubbornness. I think you have to look at how this sport is judged. The source material breaks it down. Amplitude, technical complexity, and execution.
Okay, let's start with amplitude. That's just a fancy word for height, right?
Exactly. But to get height, you need speed, and you need to take a really risky line up the wall. The judges want to see you soaring way above the lip of the pipe. If you don't go big, you don't score. It's that simple.
And technical complexity. That means more spins, off-axis corks where your head is below your feet.
Right. To win, you have to spin faster and go higher than the person before you. The scoring system essentially incentivizes pushing right to the absolute limit of what physics allows. You cannot play it safe and win a medal.
It's just not possible.
Not possible. Liu knows that. She knows that to, honor her country and her sport, as the report puts it, she has to accept that risk. She can't do a safe run and hope for a podium.
It's this incredible mix of resilience and, well, just gambling. It's like playing roulette with your vertebrae every time you drop in.
And the house doesn't always lose. Sometimes the athlete pays the debt. Which brings us to the second story in this report. While we were all focused on the halfpipe, there was another situation unfolding in snowboard cross training.
Cameron Bolton.
A veteran of the Australian team. Now, we should explain. Snowboard cross, or SBX, it's a different beast from halfpipe. It's not about tricks, it's a race. You've got multiple riders on the course at once, battling down banks, jumps, and rollers.
It's chaotic.
High speed, chaotic, and very, very unpredictable.
He crashed in training earlier in the week. And what's scary about this one is the delay. The report says he had a heavy fall, but he didn't realize how severe it was right away.
That's the insidious nature of adrenaline and shock. You crash, you shake it off, maybe you feel a bit stiff. Your body floods with adrenaline because you're at the Olympics. It just masks the pain signals.
Until the next morning.
Yeah, the report says the realization didn't come until he woke up the next day.
Imagine that moment. You're at the Olympics, you wake up ready to train, and you realize you can't move your neck without severe pain. That has to be terrifying.
So the medical team steps in, they do the scans, and the diagnosis is just, it's brutal. 2 fractures in his neck.
2 neck fractures. Just like that.
Plus back fractures,
Yeah.
plus ligament injuries. It wasn't just a stiff neck. He had broken bones in his cervical spine.
Horrifying. And just like that, his Olympics are over.
Immediate withdrawal. He was airlifted by helicopter from the venue. Now, Australian officials have confirmed he's recovering well, which is the most important thing. But his Olympic dream for 2026 ended in a helicopter ride.
He posted on Instagram, and his quote really hit me. It was so simple but so heavy. He said, "I made a mistake in training and paid the price."
Paid the price. It's such a transactional way to view his own body, isn't it? But it's accurate for these athletes. In elite snowboarding, the currency isn't money, it's physical well-being. You buy your ticket to the podium with your health.
And if you make a mistake,
The sport collects the debt in bone and ligament.
it just highlights how unforgiving the timeline is. You train for 4 years, thousands of hours, you get to Italy. And then in a practice run, not even the final, just a Tuesday practice, you clip an edge and it's all gone.
And it's gone. It creates this immense psychological pressure that we can't even fathom. They're living with that possibility every single day. A split-second error erases 4 years of work.
So we have Liu, who crashed, but, survived to smile about it. We have Bolton, who crashed and was taken out. And then we have the third narrative of this deep dive, the one that seems to defy the laws of probability.
Chloe Kim.
The queen of the halfpipe. While all this chaos is happening, helicopters taking off, stretchers on the snow, she drops into the qualifier.
And she doesn't just qualify, she puts on a clinic. She scored a 90.25 on her first run.
Okay, let's contextualize that for a second. A 90.25 on a first run. Usually the first run is the safety run, right? Just to get points on the board.
Usually, yes. But a 90.25 is a statement. It puts her miles ahead of the field. You have Japan's Sarah Shimizu in second with an 87.50, and Maddie Mastra from the U.S. in third with an 86.0. I mean, those are great scores, truly world-class.
But Kim is on another level.
She's operating on a different level. She is here for that third gold medal.
And if she wins, she becomes the first female snowboarder to win 3 Olympic titles. It's historic.
But here's the deep dive part. On the surface, you see a 90.25 and think, she's untouchable, she's in peak physical condition, she's a machine.
But the report pulls back the curtain on that, too. And
Yeah.
this is where it gets really interesting.
Exactly. She is not 100%. Far from it. The report reveals she had a completely disrupted build-up to these games. She was training in Switzerland just last month in January, and she dislocated her shoulder.
A dislocated shoulder a month before the Olympics. For a normal person, that's a trip to the ER, a sling for 6 weeks, months of physical therapy. For Chloe Kim.
It's apparently just a hurdle to jump over, but think about the mechanics. We talked about this with Liu. You need your arms for balance. You use them to generate torque for the spin.
And to grab the board.
Crucially, to grab the board midair. A loose shoulder is a massive liability. If it pops out midair,
You lose all control.
Exactly. All control.
There were real questions about whether she'd be rusty or if she'd be hesitant, guarding the injury.
And her response to those doubts, it's legendary. She said, and I quote, "I've been doing this for 22 years, okay? Muscle memory is a thing. I might be better at snowboarding than I am at walking."
Better at snowboarding than I am at walking. It's funny, it sounds like typical athlete bravado, but is there actual science to that confidence?
Oh, there absolutely is. We throw around the term muscle memory, but scientifically, we're talking about deep neural pathways and proprioception. When you've done a complex motor skill for 22 years, and remember, she started as a toddler, the brain maps the movement patterns so deeply that they basically bypass the conscious mind. It's called myelination. The pathways are insulated and super fast.
So her conscious brain might be thinking, ouch, my shoulder hurts, but her cerebellum, the part that controls movement, is saying, I got this. I know exactly how to cork this 1080.
Precisely. The body takes over. Even if the structural integrity, the ligaments in the joint, is compromised, the neural command is so strong that she can override it. She can adjust her balance in microseconds midair because she feels the board as an extension of herself. Her body knows the halfpipe better than it knows walking down a sidewalk.
It's fascinating. It's like her brain has hardwired the solution to the physics problem, regardless of the hardware issues in her shoulder.
That's a great way to put it. The software is so good it's compensating for the damaged hardware.
But when you zoom out, these 3 stories, Liu, Bolton, Kim, they're all interconnected, aren't they?
They are. They paint a composite picture of the Olympic athlete. Look at them side by side. Liu Jiayu, 33, old fractures, crashes hard, gets up.
Cameron Bolton, trading mistake, neck fractures, out.
Chloe Kim, recent dislocation, drops a 90-point run.
They're all playing the same game, all fighting the same gravity.
And they are all managing trauma. That is the key takeaway for me from this report. We tend to sell the Olympics as the pinnacle of human health, the fittest people on Earth. But often, it's a gathering of the most resilient, injured people on Earth.
That's a really powerful distinction.
They're all carrying something. Liu has her back, Bolton has his neck, Kim has her shoulder. The difference isn't that one is healthy and the other isn't. They are all hurt. The difference is just the outcome on this specific week. It's who managed to keep the injury quiet enough to land the run and whose luck just finally ran out.
It really changes how you watch the finals, doesn't it?
Completely. It strips away the glamour a bit, but it adds a whole lot of respect.
When that women's halfpipe final happens, we're going to see Chloe Kim go for history. We're going to see Sarah Shimizu and Maddie Mastro trying to catch her. But now when I see them drop in, I'm not just going to be looking at the height of the jump or counting the spins.
No. You'll be looking at the tape on their shoulders. You'll be thinking about the crash Liu Jiayu walked away from and the pain she is undoubtedly in. You'll be thinking about Cameron Bolton watching from a hospital bed.
It adds such a layer of gravity, pun intended, to the event. These athletes aren't just talented, they're incredibly tough.
And brave. We use that word a lot in sports. Brave. Usually meaning they took a tactical risk. But here, it's literal. It requires a specific type of bravery to know the consequences, to see your friends get airlifted out, to feel the pain in your own back, and still strap your feet to the board and point it downhill.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with something to think about. We spend so much time cheering for the perfect landing. We love the stomp trick, the hands in the air, the high score.
But maybe the true definition of an Olympian isn't just the ability to land the trick. Maybe it's the willingness to get back on the board when your body is screaming at you to stop.
Is it the V sign from the hospital bed that makes you a hero? Or is it the gold medal on the podium? I think this week in Italy, looking at Liu and Kim, it's a little bit of both.
Well said. It's the resilience that defines them, not just the medal around their necks.
That's it for this deep dive into the hidden reality of the 2026 Winter Games. Keep your eyes on the halfpipe and remember what it costs to get there. We'll catch you next time.
Stay curious.
Okay, one question for you. Can Liu Jiayu make a comeback after a scary crash in Olympic qualifiers? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.